Every day, America Online is making it easy for people to live, work, and play.
When we installed internet access on our computer, I got the whole family involved.
A new way to use it.
Just what is this main artery of the information superhighway?
You beautiful bastards.
No matter how large, no matter how small, we'll be on the internet in the year 2000. It's the primary way that people will look at information.
Shut up!
When we were there.
Hello, and welcome to When We Were There, Biased Internet History. My name is Thomas.
And I'm Josh, and this is a podcast all about the history of internet content, the who's, the what's, the where's Waldos. We get into it all.
Whether you like it or not.
Today, if you're on our Patreon and you're seeing the video, I'm actually wearing some pretty chill shades.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to say all the audio listeners are really missing out right now.
They're missing out. I kind of like move them around on the dance, so pay the $5, guys.
Yeah, it is 10.
Is it?
Yeah, maybe we should drop it. And that's why we don't have any backers.
No one's paying for it because the price is too steep.
Yeah.
Well, today we have a very special guest. Someone who has played a big part in shaping my sense of humor and what comedy we bring to this show. A Goliath, an OG of the internet, Mr. Jeff Rubin. How's it going, Jeff?
It is great. Hello. Thank you for that lovely intro. And
Well,
I want to say, even if you have the video, if you're not actually on this call, you're still missing out because I didn't know those sunglasses were coming out. And as soon as the music hit, you put on the sunglasses. And that was like a dramatic moment. So
yeah,
I don't know if you have a Patreon level where you can just like be on the call before we actually start recording, but that's the true experience that everyone
It's just the throwing on of the glasses.
That's like the $100 a month sort of thing, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, you're a producer. You get to see the preamble, the pre-interview.
Yeah,
all of
maybe
that.
they get to say one word per show.
Yeah, if you came here before, you'd see Jeff came on the screen, and I got so nervous I peed and puked. So pay the $100 tier. I think it's interesting having certain guests on here, and you're one of the people that I think I've been watching since almost the beginning of my internet journey, since about 2007. And some people might not know this because I don't know if you've Googled yourself or seen your college humor Wikitubia, but it
I don't
says
know what that is, but
yeah, it's like a Wikipedia specifically for college humor.
I will maybe look at that afterwards. We'll see. But I have Googled myself, and I think I know where this is going. Is it that there's the other Jeff Rubin?
Well, number one, there's a Canadian economist named Jeff Rubin.
Yeah.
Sorry, Thomas, go on.
I was gonna say, even if you search Jeff Rubin college humor, it still comes up with him, and it's his photo first, but then there's a photo of your face like next to his.
I love it. I'm sure he's Googled himself since he's human, and like he's like a media personality. He goes on TV and speaks. Like I'm sure he's seen me too, and I'm sure he hates me more than I hate him because I think it's hilarious. I will tell you very briefly that. And I'm not just doing this to plug my show, but I have a podcast, the Jeff Rubin Show. And for like, I don't know, the 200th episode, there was some sort of anniversary. I actually got a bunch of other people named Jeff Rubin, and I had the round table of Jeff Rubins, and I just like went on Facebook and I got like 5 or 6 other people named Jeff Rubin for this very special episode, the Jeff Rubin Show. And I was just like, hey, so how come you own Jeff Rubin, not Jeffrey? Like everyone talks about Jeff versus Jeffrey. How come we go with JR? And I really wanted to get that guy, and he did not respond. But everyone in the group definitely knew about him. The other thing I will briefly say, the other funny story I will tell you about him is once HuffPo, this is many years ago now, I think I was still working at College Humor, HuffPo Canada emailed me and was like, hey, would you like to write something for HuffPo Canada about oil? And I was like, sure. Yeah, like there was like nothing in the email. Like I could play dumb that like I didn't, I could play dumb and be like, there wasn't anything where it was like, we've seen your other work about oil. Like I could play that and be like, yeah, I'll write something about oil. And I got like 1 or 2 emails into them, and then they said something like I couldn't disguise the fact that I was not the Jeff Rubin they were looking for anymore, and I didn't get to write it. But I almost did. I was disappointed, yeah.
That would have been amazing.
The funny thing is there was a similar situation where CNN got someone who they thought was a Edward Snowden expert, but was a Twitter comedian. But the whole time he was speaking as if though Snowden was Edward Scissorhands. But playing it like completely straight, and it's like, I don't think, maybe some people are saying we should pardon him, and all he's really done wrong is, shave some ice sculptures. Like we can't really shit on, but
we can't.
No one vetted him enough to actually, like, this was live, and everyone just went with it.
Well, the news honestly is just terrible. I mean, have you ever seen Nathan For You, Jeff?
Of course, love it.
Yeah, that show's amazing. And the amount of times he gets on the news with just like no credentials, like
It's true.
the
I
one
mean, credit
who does
to HuffPost Canada. They eventually
They
found-
caught on eventually.
Yeah, like they eventually got it. So like, it's hard to be too mad about it. But
yeah, fair.
But what I
No,
was
but
saying about what I was saying about your Wikitubia was it said
Yeah,
that
what's
you
it say?
joined College Humor in 2008. What we've noticed
Wrong.
by doing the show, all this information on a lot of people is wrong.
completely incorrect.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually joined in 2004 after the Bush reelection.
Yeah, how did you know? I'm curious why you described it that way, because that is how I describe it. That's like how I know the years. It was like I remember it was after Bush was reelected. So I'm curious how did I write that somewhere and you read it? Like,
You said it. You did say it in an interview that I believe was a New York City live podcast.
Great. Yeah, that is true. That is how I describe it. I did join College Humor in like November of 2004ish. Yeah, I graduated college in 2004, and it was not long after. Yeah.
And I think the funny thing is because of that misinformation, a lot of people might not know that you were actually there before a lot of other people that you were with, such as like Streeter or Amir or Jake, and you were actually an editor before, like while they were interns.
No, I mean I can straighten that out a little bit.
Okay.
I was physically in the office before them. I was the first person in the office. I was the first. I was the first employee of College Humor. Me and my
That's
friend
crazy.
Kunal, who was like the first.
Yeah.
Kunal was the developer, and I think Kunal claims he was hired while I was still like some sort of intern or something. So Kunal and I can debate this, but I think I was the first employee of College Humor essentially. But Streeter and Amir had, I believe, written for the site from college for a while, and they never interned. Jake is like a few years later. Jake's a little younger. I mean, 2 or 3 years younger. It's not a big deal. But Jake, there's like, I was there for about a year when I would say I was emailing Jake. Sorry. There was the first year I was there, I would say I emailed Streeter and Amir because they were writing for the site and I helped coordinate that. And then they showed up probably after I had been working there for about a year already. And then Jake's a few years after that. Sarah, somewhere after a year or two. The timeline's a little iffy. But yeah. So Jake and Amir Streeter and Amir were like on the site before I was, but I was like in the office working there before they were, I guess. Yeah.
Were you like contributing at all before you like? Did you just get
No.
hired as like a guy to do some
Kind
business
of. I
stuff?
can tell you the story, which is kind of fun. I mean, all right. So I went to Penn State. I was the head writer for the humor magazine at Penn State, Froth with a PH. Shout out to Froth. And that was like the main thing I did in college. It was like really the only thing I like cared about in college. And like most of what I learned in college, I probably learned from doing that. Not just like the writing, but also like the running it and like, securing funding for it and ads and like the production of it. And we did live shows and stuff. So I that was like the big thing for me in college that I really spent a lot of time and energy on. And I graduated. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I thought something comedy. I wasn't kind of like bold enough to like think I should be like a TV writer. But I was living at home in New Jersey. And kind of just looking for jobs. And every day I went on Craigslist and I just like made it a point to like apply to 2 or 3 jobs every day. And they were mostly, I mean, I don't even remember what, but there was nothing I was too excited about. But then this one came up, this College Humor thing came up. And I thought it sounded really interesting. And they were, I think, just kind of looking, I wish I had the post. I mean, College Humor was at this point for people, and they had started the site themselves in college, and they're only a year or 2 older than me, so they hadn't graduated much before then. This is Josh, Ricky, Jake, and Zach, and they were just like, I think they didn't know what they wanted. They had a sense they were starting to grow, and they were like, yeah, we're looking for someone to help out with all sorts of things, and it's a paid internship, but it could turn into something. I really think they didn't like know what they wanted exactly, but I know what I wanted, so maybe it was a good fit.
Yeah.
And I've never felt this way before or since, but when I applied for the job, I was like, this thing is mine. Like I felt like what they were looking like. I thought I was our humor magazine, Froth, I thought was very good. We like communicate with other humor magazines. Our production value, I thought, was pretty high for 2004. I thought it was funny. I'm sure the others were good too, but like I thought it was a pretty high quality product, and I was the head writer of it. And I was like, who are they gonna like? How can they find someone like better for this job than me? I knew a lot about the internet, which is like not super common then. Like now, I don't think you would. I think what I was like then is how everyone is now, and that I was just like plugged into the internet and internet culture. But that was not so common in 2004. And so I really felt like the job was mine. Like I knew about computers, like I can like fix a computer. Like that was for some reason I thought something that would be important. You know, like I can like update a website. Like I have like these like kind of basic technical skills. And so I had a bunch of the humor magazines, and I was sending them to a lot of places. Like I'd taken a stack of them, and I was sending them for various jobs. And this is the fun, yeah. So, but when I sent it to them, I don't know like why I did this, but I had to put it in an envelope, and I had to put a piece of cardboard in the envelope to keep them stiff. And I wrote my resume on the piece of cardboard. Like I did it in Word and then copied like the Word template onto the cardboard in like marker. And I remember just thinking like, if they don't think this is funny, I don't want to work there. Yeah. And they and yeah, I guess like I mean, you know, I think I was credible, and you know, I had this humor magazine, and they called me in for an interview, and I think I want to say they gave it to me on the spot. Like I remember when they interviewed, I do actually, I'll tell you one other thing is I remember when they interviewed, they asked me like what kind of comedy I was into. And I was like, I remember saying, have you guys heard of this show, Arrested Development? Arrested Development was still on the air at this point.
Yeah, that would have been like
and it was,
maybe season 2.
Right. It was like, I was obsessed with Arrested Development. Again, something that's like not that uncommon now, but I was like, I felt like I had the complete right answer. I was like, not only like, let me tell you about, I'm obsessed with what is the funniest thing ever. And 20 years later, I think is still correct.
Totally.
And yeah, I remember just like, I just had this like confidence that like, I wish I could manufacture in other circumstances. Like I really felt like the job was mine. And I got it. And it was like a part-time internship, but I like they paid me. And then they pretty quickly it became a job. And yeah, I mean, the other thing, I guess my parents were kind of skeptical, and I lived at home for a year while I commuted into the city. I'm very fortunate that my parents lived in New Jersey, and I was able to like take this train in while I kind of got my legs under me and figure this out. The other thing that's like kind of a major milestone in college humor, and you can look it up, I guess, is there's a New Yorker article about Josh, Ricky, Jake, and Zach that came out in like maybe 2004, 2005. And that was like a real turning point. Like for many, many years afterwards, I would say, I work at College Humor, people be like, oh, like that New Yorker. I mean, like 10 years after, like, people fucking read the New Yorker. I can curse, right? People fucking read the New Yorker, like, and really retain it. Like, for many, many years, I would say I worked at College Humor, and at least in New York, people be like, oh, yes, I remember that one article about these poor people. But that article really was a turning point. I think, like, after that, I think in my memory, I mean, you could ask the four of them, but, like, I think after that, things really, like, we were hiring more people, and yeah, I was very lucky. I mean, so lucky to really just be in the right place at the right time. You know, I was able to like, I was there first. It's like unbelievable. I changed my life. Yeah.
So I have to ask, just because in the pre-interview you did say you that we saw on screen is very similar to the you that is really you. There was a Hardly Working where your parents were disappointed. You thought that you were working at
humor. I love that one. Thank you.
So did you tell your parents that you were a lawyer for the Ghostbusters?
No, that might be my favorite Hardly Working. I do love that one. I'm very proud of that one. So no, I mean, my parents, like, for a long time were like, still like, even after I was working there and like we had written a book or two, and like, it was like a reasonably successful career for, I mean, years. I think my parents were still on about like law school for like a while. Really,
so there was some truth in that episode.
For sure. Yeah. I think.
Is your dad black?
No.
He is I hate to go on a tangent, but just, because in that sketch,
that was our lawyer. What was his name? He was a really nice guy. I'm struggling. I wish I could remember his name. He was a really nice dude. I can't think of his name.
But in Cool Jeff, I think it's Pat who says, oh, he's turning into a Cool Jeff, like Urkel. And then I think David says, no, Jeff isn't black, which I think is one of my favorites. So is there a correlation there that was trying to be drawn?
No, I think we just like, we were dumb and made a bad joke. There was no hint of a connected theory there. Yeah, I think it was just like, I mean, I did not join to be an actor. We didn't make, and probably the reason people think I joined in 2008 or whatever is like, no, we made videos before then, but like, we didn't make we were not making videos like the first few years I was there,
Mhm.
and
You were like accepting booby pics, right?
yes.
Well, I think
and-
for Zoomers that are listening who might not know this, that College Humor, which is now kind of known for like Hardly Working and their originals, and a lot of shows that have started with like the new cast of College Humor, they might not know that similar to like National Lampoon, you guys started a lot more doing like, aside from just articles, but like hottest college girl of the week and stuff. And
yeah, National Lampoon is a perfect comparison. It makes me feel a lot less creepy when you mention that like someone else did that before us. But yeah, I mean, like that was part of the site, and to give, again, the founders
and I
of
don't
the site
think you
some
need
credit,
to defend
like,
yourself. Like that's
well,
what college kids
it's not
wanted.
terrific. It's not our. I'm proud of that hardly working. That's not an element of the site I'm super proud of. But to give the guys behind the site some credit, like they pivoted away from that into original content, which is like a lot of the sites that were like college humor competitors like did not do. You know, like that's a hard move to make, to like move away from nudity.
Of
into,
course.
Like, so
Yeah.
like I mean, I think that is, yeah, I think that's hard to do, and I'm proud that we did that. I guess less proud of the initial thing that we did it, but yeah, that was definitely a part of the site. It was like very broy.
Yeah.
It was very broy, but those people running the site were all like super, like I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it was very broy. It was totally
I
broy.
think the point that I'm trying to make there is more, I think it must be a little bit tough, like at the time of when that was, to drift away from that, because I'm sure that broadened a ton of traffic. And then to be confident enough with the comedy to be, okay, we're going to put
Yeah.
everything in here. And now that's really what, College Humor is known for. I don't think you have a broy audience. Like, I don't know if you can tell by
I
my
think College Humor is
McFarlane
like a
here.
reasonably
I'm
woke
not a
brand.
bro.
I think they're very yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't know. Basically all comedy produced before like 2017 or so was problematic, and we are
Of
no
course,
different,
yeah.
so.
I think you can go to anyone who's made comedy there, like even other people we've talked to, like what the Buck or F&D films. There's gonna be a ton of stuff that people were just like, it was of the time. I think just the fact that you guys shifted pretty quick away from that and really did kind of create like the behemoth that you guys are known for now, which is like the originals, like Dorkly, Bleep Bloop, like Hardly Working, Jake and Amir.
Yeah. An early thing I remember, I think in the first year I worked there, is that now I'm sure everyone listening will remember that Ashley Simpson, I think it was Ashley Simpson, she was on SNL and
Yeah,
she
the
was
dub.
lip syncing or
Yeah.
something, right? This is like 2004, maybe 2005.
Yeah.
Like we like happened, like the TV was hooked up to the computer, and like we got a recording of that and like put it on the site, and it was like major. It was a huge boost in traffic. I mean, I was working at College Humor before YouTube existed. Like now,
Yeah.
like there wouldn't be like one central site where that clip was, but like like this was a thing that happened. People want to see it. Like we just happened to get a recording of it very quickly and like got it up. So like that was like the very early days of the site, you know?
That's so funny because that's like basically the same origin story for YouTube, except he wanted to see the Janet Jackson nip slip and then couldn't find it, and then what blew them up was people wanting to watch the Lonely Island Lazy Sunday video, which got uploaded and ripped to YouTube.
Yeah.
So
I'm
it's
not
always
familiar with that, but yeah, that sounds plausible, I guess.
well, it's just funny that I guess like all of these big sites have their roots in just like ripping something, or at least like that's what people used the internet for back in the day, before original content found a space.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm less sure about, but maybe.
So when you guys really got the ball rolling, and you even like started your YouTube channel, and then it's kind of weird because though College Humor the page was something I think like in the top 10 most subscribed for a while, you guys were kind of outside of it because you guys were making videos for the site, and then that just happened to be uploaded to YouTube. Like, did you guys feel like YouTubers at all? Or
no, I don't think the idea of YouTubers existed as like a profession, I guess. I don't think we felt especially connected to YouTube culture. We did feel connected to, I'd say, comedy culture.
Absolutely.
And, I think that is more how we identified. I think like being a quote unquote YouTuber was just like not a thing then. So, and like you said, it wasn't like our primary distribution. And I think we weren't doing the things other YouTubers were doing because we had come into the site through this like side door. So
Yeah.
I don't think we really identified as YouTubers. Speaking for myself, anyway.
No, and I think that makes sense. Like, if anything, I think a lot of your guys' fan base and traffic probably did as well come from YouTube, especially in the later years. I think I would compare you guys more to like, yeah, writers, comedians on like the UCB, almost SNL-esque level.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'll just say thank you.
Well, I just think, whether it just be like the production value that you guys brought or the fact that like, I think you kind of look at something like a Hardly Working as like these exaggerated versions of yourselves and this cast of characters, more of something where it's like you can tell that, this isn't just me holding with a camera talking about my day or like a sketch that some 14-year-old is making.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. Like, it was like not, that's why I think we're not what people traditionally think of as YouTubers, because like we were not just people in our bedrooms. I mean, maybe if we were all born 10 years later, I think maybe we would have been, but we had cameramen and like production value and like these things. And it was because we were part of this other apparatus that was like outside of YouTube. So that is, I think, why it was a little different.
It always confused me as a kid, like, because I went to College Humor, the site, to watch your videos, not on YouTube, and I'd see like it just felt like I didn't understand how you guys had an office and like how you guys made money, like 'cause I was like I thought maybe at first I thought
yeah, like parents.
I thought still to this day.
Thomas didn't know what ad revenue was.
I
or
didn't.
Sponsors.
I was pretty young actually.
I mean, I think a lot of it was new too. Like I think a lot of it was new. Yeah, like sponsored video. I think must have been some of the first people doing like sponsored videos, probably. I think. I'm not claiming
I would
the
assume
first or
so.
anything, but like
Definitely.
certainly we were among the first. I would think.
And then I guess it would have.
You're welcome, internet.
Yeah.
So did it sort of change a lot? Because I heard, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but not the audience, but you correct me if I'm wrong. That it kind of started out of a loft, the office that the four guys lived out of.
Yeah, that's right. And I think you can read about that in the New Yorker article from 2008 or whatever, or 2005 or whatever. Yeah, that's right. The first place I worked was in their apartment. And I don't think the guys would mind me saying that I think in the interview, they were like, we often work in our underwear. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, I don't care. I mean, I'm in my underwear right now. You guys saw when I put down my laptop. So I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. And then I got there and they really did like work in their underwear. So, because like their bedroom was like right next door. And I was like, oh, that was serious. They are working in their underwear. I mean, they didn't do that for long. I don't think they did that much past me, but like the first office was indeed their loft. It was like a 4-bedroom loft with like kind of this office room at the end. And it was very, very cool. Yeah. I crashed there a few times. It was
nice.
It was a great thing. I mean, it's funny because they're only a year older than me, or a year or two older than me. I think I'm even older than Zach, to be honest. And so it was like I don't know. I like looked up to them, and they were like my boss, and like I looked up to them, and I was like, but then looking back, I was like, oh, I was like 22. They were like 23. Like if I meet a 23-year-old now, I'm like, this guy's an idiot. Nothing personal. I don't know how old you guys are. But 23-year-old.
24. So yeah, I'm 24. So I'm just cleared.
Yeah, you're good. You're over the.
You're
but
fine.
Yeah, like in retrospect, they were so like, it's like I don't know. It's like I always think of, even when I see an old episode of Saved by the Bell right now, it's like hard for me to understand that like I'm older than the Zach Morris that was in that TV show. It's like because I always thought of him as older, and like I guess those guys were like they've always been older than me, but they were quite young, and it was a cool thing. And even a lot. I'm trying to think. I think a lot of the Hardly Working. I'm trying to remember if this predates Hardly Working. A lot of the Jake and Amirs. A lot of them were on another floor of that building. Eventually, they just rented another floor of the building, and the Vimeo office also started out of that.
And that would have been after the IAC buyout.
No, way before. I mean, we were in the loft, then we moved upstairs, and I think Vimeo moved into like the smaller office space where we were. They were definitely there for some time. Then we all moved. They must have gotten some investment. I guess they didn't. I don't know why. I don't know what the turning point was, but at some point we all moved to an avenue to an office on by Union Square. That's probably the one that's in like most of the videos I'm in, and then maybe not though, because then after the IAC thing, we did move to the IAC building, and that's maybe, I don't know, 40% of the videos I'm in are there or something, just timeline wise.
I know when I think of College Humor, I think of the Union Square videos. Like, that's
Yeah.
where like the early, like the first all-nighters were taken.
Yes. There must be some videos from that other office, but I think there's not many. They're very old and like a lot of them are on Vimeo or hard to
I
find.
think there is one where there's like a parody of before the Wii came out, like other games that would use the Wii controller. And I think you're in that, and Streeter and Sarah are.
That sounds possible.
And it's like pre even a Wiimote coming out, so it was just like
a
white.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, you're right. We had like a fake Wiimote. You're right. Yeah, that's funny. I do remember that. I think we made very few videos in that original office, but it's like documented in a few places anyway.
So this
that's the real estate history.
Yeah, and also the little fun fact of people might not know that Vimeo started out of College Humor.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was like a side project for a few of the founders, and yeah, I mean, Jake. Like I think Jake. I think it was Jake. Don't quote me on this. Do not put this in a wiki somewhere. But I want to say Jake. I'm sure he's talked. I think there's probably documented. I think Jake wanted a place to host his videos. This did not necessarily exist at the time. This was like pre-YouTube. And it was like, I think Vimeo might have originally been like Jake's personal video site. Maybe? Am I wrong? I don't know. It was, Vimeo was like a side project. And I think like when College Humor was acquired by IAC, it was like, IAC acquires College Humor. And then like, below it, it was like, oh, so they're getting this site called Vimeo. Whereas like now, of course, Vimeo has become kind of this pillar of online video and College Humor. God bless it, is still like, it's still College Humor, but like Vimeo really blew up over the years. Yeah. Obviously.
Yeah, I'd even know as film school students, if like our teachers, if we had to put anything up, it would always be on Vimeo. And I think a lot more Art House Films.
I have vimeo.com/Jeff. It's my best URL. I have vimeo.com/Jeff. I can't even get Jeff Rubin anywhere, but I can. But Vimeo, I have vimeo.com/Jeff.
The Economist fucked you.
Yeah, that's true. I remember when Facebook opened up URLs, I was like there, like reloading it, and I still couldn't get Jeff Rubin. Like it was like an event.
Jesus.
I got Jewish Boy Josh. That's my URL on.
That's pretty good. There's a lot of Jewish boy Joshes out there. There's a lot of Jewish boys named Josh out there. So that's
Well, my dad was saying recently, just with like all the raid of the Capitol, and he's like, if the race wars start, I'm really sorry that I named you Joshua Zuckerman. You're gonna be fucked.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a great name.
No, it's really
for the race war.
Yeah. Especially because my mom is Latina, so I'm double fucked.
You'll be fine. We'll protect you. Don't worry.
Yeah.
No, I again, this is one of those other things where I might have to check with you if this is true. But is it true that you are the creator or founder of the All Nighter?
I do think that is true. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's correct. It is a thing, actually. I'm pretty sure it's correct because it's actually a thing my friends and I did in college. Was we had an all-nighter, which was like, I mean, I'm sure there was like light alcohol and light drugs, but it was like a relatively chaste like party where we stayed up all night. But we had like activities all night. There was like pin the tail on the donkey, and like we painted the walls. It's like we had like activities planned for every hour, and like I think we did it at least once or maybe twice. But we did this thing where we stayed up all night. I mean, not completely sober, but not like I can't describe it as an all night party because that is like not what it was. It was like 12 hours of like drinking and activities. And it was very fun. And College Humor was not that long after college for me. And I think that's where it came from. And I think also there's this thing at UCB, I think is, well, I don't know what the deal with UCB is right now, but UCB for a long time did this thing called Sketch Cram where I don't know if we predated that, but UCB has this thing where like people would stay up all night making sketches. I don't know if we predate that. I do think I proposed the idea of staying up all night and trying to make 10 videos. I do think I did that. Yeah. I think that was me.
Because I think that's also...
I'm not certain enough I can claim credit.
That's definitely something that I think pushed, especially like a lot of the originals that involved the staff.
I don't think they got... I mean...
I don't know. I think that's where
we could get sponsors for because it was like an event, and we did live streaming, which again was like fairly novel at the time. I'm trying to remember what we did, like Ustream, like this is like pre-Twitch, pre-YouTube, etc.
Yeah, I think I saw Twitter and Ustream is what it was.
Yeah, I mean, if it was even Twitter, I don't remember. And so it was like an event. So it was certainly an event for us, and I think it got sponsored a few times because like it was an event, so you could like tie a sponsor to it. So we would do it. but I don't think the videos were super popular. I think they were super weird and like
I don't know.
They're some
man.
of my favorites. They're some
yeah,
of my
I think
favorite
they're probably
ones.
some of our favorites too.
I think they
And,
definitely pushed the original a lot. Like, I know personally, I think that's when I started watching, was around the first All Nighter. And there was definitely a shift in the site where, at least from people who were watching the videos, I think some of the most, like, the highly viewed videos, at least on YouTube, were a lot of like the more high budget originals. But then I think a lot of fans found a lot more love in like you guys and the staff. And I think a lot of that was probably pushed by the All Nighter.
Cool. My recollection is they were not. I mean, I don't remember the view numbers from 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever this was. But my recollection is they were not. There was a cool event, and there was definitely like a core group of fans that appreciated it, and we loved doing it.
Maybe
But,
we were just
so
in the
that's
core
a-
group. Who knows?
Yeah, I was gonna say because I think this was in the pre-interview, but we were told that Vancouver is just loves college humor more than
It's
anywhere
true. I
else
have
in the
traveled
world.
to Vancouver, and I'm not
Mobbed.
recognized very frequently, and it drops off as the years go on, and that's fine. But in Vancouver, there was like a noticeable uptick, and I was like, cool town.
We're your demo,
Yeah.
bro.
Good taste.
So maybe we were just biased, being like, "Oh, this is
I don't know.
incredible."
But I do love those videos. I mean, those videos were like, I think over time our production quality went up and things required more and more planning. And like the original videos, I think the Jake and Amir, I guess I don't know about the college humor stuff, but the original Jake and Amirs are totally like Jake and Amir just being like, we're just randomly sat next to each other and like on this like desk pod and like, took it upon themselves to like take out a camera and like just start doing like, oh, it'd be a funny thing, like let's just do this. And it was like very casual and like not a lot of thought. And I think
Yeah.
the All Nighter was initially like an attempt to kind of recapture some of that energy and just like make it more of like a casual thing. Someone, I will recount a weird compliment. I love it. I don't want to describe it as backhanded, but someone once said that they liked us as a cast because it was obvious we were not real actors, and I was like, I think that's true. Like if you look at those videos, like I think they definitely have a like friends hanging out.
Oh, absolutely. I think
which,
the energy that was like, it's clearly everyone loves each other.
Yes, that is true. We are all still friends. I don't see everyone as much as I like. Not everyone sees everyone as much as they like, but like I see everyone at least sometimes in like this group text and blah blah blah. Like I can hang out with. I might be hanging out with any of those people like any given day, and yeah, those are still some of my best friends, and yeah, like that is you can't manufacture it. It's true.
Yeah,
I think that's something that's really like we've talked about this a few times on the show, just like particularly in earlier internet, like I guess before there was money, before there were bigger companies and stuff, and I guess maybe like the chance of stardom, things felt a lot more authentic and like real. So I think that's probably also why people were attracted to like the Hardly Working, the cast of you guys, because it was like there's more of a connection, whereas the original sketches are just, they're funny, but there's nothing you can connect to. And that's why I think what people really love about the internet is a way to feel connected.
Right. I'll tell you something else, which is I worked at BuzzFeed Video. Do you guys even know that? Have you done your research? I worked at BuzzFeed Video
We've
for...
done our research.
All right. So I worked at BuzzFeed Video for like a year and a half right after College Humor. And BuzzFeed Video was new, and I now most people have encountered a BuzzFeed Video at some point. But like I remember when I left, like it was I wasn't the first person there, but it was a very nascent effort. Like it was just very new. It was very new. Like I remember when I left, a lot of people were like, "Oh, is it going to be making videos of lists?" Because like that was the thing BuzzFeed was known for, like in that moment.
Yeah.
And anyway, like when we it was a rapidly, BuzzFeed, in a way College Humor never did, was like aggressively growing. I mean, College Humor grew, but like BuzzFeed was like, their whole thing is like scaling, right? And we were like hiring a lot of people. And like when I started there at the beginning of the year, it was like we got a lot of like film students. Like no one wanted to be famous, I guess. Like we had a lot of like film students and like cinematographers, and it was great. And then like a few people did start to get famous from BuzzFeed. And like by the time I left, and I think I would speculate this continued after I left, like you got a lot more like people who were like originally I think we got a lot more technically minded people who were like open to doing some creative stuff, and then there was like I think a shift to more I think just people who want to be famous were interviewing more. That is not to say anything bad about either of those groups of people. The technical people who want to do creative stuff were great. Some of the people who came along later were great, et cetera, et cetera. Like I'm not. It's just like it's.
Josh and I want to be famous desperately, so we're.
I'm just saying I witnessed a similar shift
group.
where like it was interesting to see it again, like this similar shift where like a few people accidentally got, or we were like, yeah, like no one set out to be famous at BuzzFeed, and it still sort of happened. And like, I think if you look at the Try Guys, who I think probably the most well-known thing that came out, certainly the year whatever I was at BuzzFeed, like it's a total accident that those four ended up working together, and like, I mean, once they, yeah. So
and I guess Gabby Dunn and Allison Raskin as well got like pretty big, and they have a podcast as well and a show.
That's true. They had some. They had fans beforehand. I want to say. I don't know their journey well enough to know how big, but how much BuzzFeed helped.
I caught on to them when they were in BuzzFeed personally.
As I recall, and I did work with them a little, and they're great. They came on as a team and like already had something going on the side.
Okay.
I don't really know. I don't know them and their history well enough to know how much BuzzFeed helped or whatever. But they were sort of already. I think they were a little bit already a thing when they came to BuzzFeed. I think. I'm not sure. But they're great.
As we mentioned, the information on you online is actually pretty poor and under.
Oh boy, what else to say? It's like Jeff
no. Well, I just have
sports.
Jeff loves sports. He's a champion quarterback. No, well, just like, so the only information we could find, at least I could find regarding BuzzFeed, is just that you worked there. But it is, I'm curious as to like what exactly your position was there. Like, I didn't even know it was in the video.
I did work on. Yeah, you can find me in a few BuzzFeed videos if you look. I tried Jolly Bee for the first time on camera. I tried Red Bull for the first time on camera.
You were in a video like if teachers were sports stars, and you were like a commentator.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I also made one called If We Cared About the Environment Like We Cared About Sports. And then the teacher version was like a refinement of that was better.
I really hope that wasn't the case. I don't give a shit about sports.
Yeah, but, well, anyway. What did I do at BuzzFeed? I mean, BuzzFeed is, what did I do? Look, BuzzFeed is constantly evolving. I haven't been there in 5 or 6 years now. I have absolutely no idea what it's like there. I can only describe the time I was there. In the time I was there, I was a lead producer, something like that, some sort of senior producer, maybe. I forget exactly the job title. And I had a small team of people, and everyone on the team, including myself, would try to make 2 videos a week, maybe 1.5 videos a week. I forget exactly. But it was like soup to nuts. Like, you got to like come up with the idea, shoot it, light it, edit it, color correction, like all the way through like picking the thumbnail and blah, blah, blah. And I was doing that myself while also trying to lead a team of younger people and teaching them to do that as well. And it was cool. It was a cool gig. Yeah.
Right on.
I have no idea how it's organized now or what they do now, but that's what it was like at the time.
Yeah, I think it's sort of similar to a thing that we were talking earlier. It's like SNL season's the one that you're following is usually the one that you think is the best. I would say, even though you would say that you wouldn't consider yourself an actor, I think you did kind of become a fan favorite in the Hardly Workings, especially in ones where, like the one you have is
Patreon subscribers just saw me roll my eyes. Let me just put that out there for the cheapskates.
I think some of my favorites are with you, like when you get accepted to SUNY Plattsburgh, and also Hogwarts. I
don't know what that is. I guess that's an all-nighter one, I think.
That's an all-nighter one.
The
and then you're
house,
like,
right?
Yeah, with Britannic, and you're excited because like they have a good athletic department.
I don't remember a single thing about that sketch. I'm vaguely remembering it now that you mention it.
It's probably shot at like 3 a.m.
That's true. We did probably shoot it. It's funny we like make Britannic come over at like 2 a.m. I think like the guest star sketches we would try to do earlier. We might have made those guys come later. I don't remember. I mean, look, it was like I was not a good actor. I'm not comfortable acting. I was not a good actor. I hated acting on stage.
I think there's a charm
but I
to
liked
it, though.
hosting. Like the show I did at College Humor, like if people recognize me from College Humor, it's usually because of Bleep Bloop. And like, what's Bleep Bloop?
I was going to bring up Bleep Bloop.
Or Nerd Alert. I was a huge Nerd Alert fan.
Oh, well, same thing though. It's like not acting. It's just like presenting.
I guess I also love the one where you get a zit, so you wear a full face of makeup and a dress to cover up the zit.
That's funny. I don't remember that at all. That's
essentially it's a great. So the sketch was that.
I guess I kind of remember. It's like a red like Lucy dress, right? It's like a red polka dot dress. Like I think I know the picture of me in the dress, but I don't know what it's from.
And you have lipstick and like eyeliner on, nothing covering the zit. And
that's funny.
It's
I
like,
don't remember that.
Why do you do that? It's like, well, I put on a little foundation because I have a zit, and then every once in a while, David says, "You don't need to wear makeup." Sarah isn't. Sarah keeps punching him in the face the whole time.
This is from 2011. I'm gonna bookmark this one. I don't remember that at all.
It's great.
So fun. I will tell you guys, it's so fun to go back and revisit them because I have no recollection of them. I like
Yeah.
now that you're saying it, I'm like, oh yeah. But like, I don't remember any of the jokes, and I watch them, and I think they're so funny because I mean, I probably wrote. I'm like, whoever wrote this is great because like they're us, they're me, and they're us, and like you know, like they're jokes that like I wrote, so they're of course my sense of humor. And not that I don't remember if I wrote that one, but just like they're very fun to revisit because it's truly like someone else made it, but it was really made specifically for me in a way. So
I mean,
they're really fun to revisit old ones that I've forgotten about. So I'll check that one out. Yeah.
Like I said earlier, like this is a lot of stuff that is like shaped my humor as far as like beats or timing or maybe like bringing something up and doing it in threes before there's a big joke. Like I think one of the funniest things I like is every time they're like, "Why are you wearing lipstick?" "I have a zit," and like, and then finally they're like, "What? Why eyeliner?" It's like, well, it makes my eyes pop.
That's fun.
Yeah,
That's
a nice little twist at the end.
Yeah, or even like the box fort one. Like I don't know. I think
Boxfort.
Discrediting.
I mean, I'll
yourself
tell you. Let me give you some behind the scenes on Boxfort. Boxfort was when we moved offices to the new fancy building. Our new corporate overlords. I mean, they're fine. I don't mean to pass this person by, but it is a large company, and we moved, and we did have a bunch of boxes, and I did use the boxes to build a giant box fort. I want to say it's separate from a sketch, but then we're like, oh, we should make a sketch about it. But I do remember they were like very anxious to have us take down the box fort, and I like really didn't want to take down the box fort. That's it. Maybe that's not the
Was there also a desk fort video that you did as well?
I think
Or is
that's
that
the same
I
one.
don't remember so good. Maybe. I do like the box. Box fort's a sort of a bigger production. It's like a action. It's like a epic battle scene or something. So that one stands out.
I also like the joke that all you guys were doing there was like dancing to German techno music.
Oh, I do think that's I know exactly. It's me, Murph, and Jake like dancing. I do love that cutaway. This one I remember. I do like the box fort sketch. Yeah.
Did you like so?
I mean, I think we were like all like very Simpsons-y. Like, I don't think we actually knew any rules or anything. I think, I don't know. I think we were just like Simpson. I don't know. I think we were just like trying to imitate things we liked, like The Simpsons and Mr. Show. Like, I don't think we like had rules or anything in mind. We probably.
Well, I do find it funny.
And like probably also, I think some people did. Like, Dan's like a very good writer. Like, I'm sure Dan did. Like, I did not.
I do find it funny though, Josh, that when you brought up like the things you learned from comedy from College Humor, which I'm not saying you didn't, but you brought up like beats, timing, and the rule of three, which is just like pretty standard comedy stuff.
No,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
that's true.
I
We
also
definitely did not invent timing.
No, but I
or the rule of three.
No, but I learned that all from you guys. I know that's a thing, but I think in that it shaped like my comedy sensibility.
That's cool.
No, that's totally true.
Like
that's very nice to hear. It really is.
We did a pilot about, I want to say now, God, time's flying by, like 3 years ago. It didn't get picked up, whatever. But it was a parody of The Real Housewives, written by a group here called Queerprov, called The Real Gays of Vancouver. And there's this character when they go to a clothing store who is just entrenched in a flowing coat. And in the original script, as everyone's fighting in the background, that character just is dead in the cloak. And I think it's just kind of in the background of something that you're not noticing.
That I think I lifted from The Simpsons, either consciously or unconsciously, was like, you give the audience credit to know that they will know where the joke is going. And like on the, like on The Simpsons, I just rewatched the one where Marge gets pregnant with Maggie, and what's her sister's name? Patty and Selma find out.
Yeah.
And they're not supposed to tell everyone, but they're gonna tell everyone. And then they open up the phone book and they're like, "Hey, Aronson, guess what?" And then there's like dissolve, and it's like time has passed, and they're like, "Thank you, Mr. Zabrowski," or whatever, and they hang up, and they're like, "Aronson and Zabrowski are the two biggest gossips in town. As long as we know that," like they always like. The Simpsons gave you the credit to like the audience will know where the joke is going, so like they like I don't know,
twisted at the last
joke
second
about like where by subverting expectations of like how jokes are supposed to work. Like I think we have a lot of jokes about how jokes are supposed to work, and
I think that's also very like not Mel Blanc, Chuck Jones as well.
Maybe. I mean, there's definitely some cartoony stuff, which of course comes. I mean, for me anyway, from The Simpsons. Like me and Amir were really big Simpsons fans. I'm sure everyone liked it, but like me and Amir in particular, I would say like lived and breathed it growing up. I think Amir would not mind me saying. Like Streeter, I'm sure watched The Simpsons, but Streeter's not like still watching The Simpsons like I am or whatever. So Yeah, I don't know. I think for me anyway, like I think basically anything good I did is probably something I lifted from The Simpsons and or Mr. Show.
Okay, I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit, but I'll let you
No.
have it.
Thank you. Thank you.
When you like, I mean, when you guys were kind of in the height where like you weren't just big on College Humor, the internet in general, YouTube. Before then, like, when you started at College Humor, did you feel like, okay, this is definitely going to be something big, or was it kind of a surprise when you guys blew up?
No, I mean, I
and
don't
have
know.
Canadians recognize you?
No. I mean, definitely. When I started getting recognized, was like definitely not something I ever thought would happen because we weren't making videos or whatever. I had some reasonable confidence when I started there. I just liked the dudes. I thought they were smart. Things were always going well, to be honest. Like, it was always moving forward. Like, I can't recall any like very serious setbacks. Like, we never, for the first few years. So, I don't know. Like, I guess I did think it was going well. I also was like living at home, so it was like I didn't need to. It was my first real job.
Hell of
I
a
don't know.
first job.
I was never worried. It always seemed to be going well, so I always felt good about sticking around. But I don't think I ever had the foresight to like be able to predict where it was going. Certainly not to like the level of being recognized or whatever. Yeah. I mean, we were never like. I mean, maybe other people. I've never been. It's never been like the Beatles or like the beginning of Austin Powers, where like I was like chased down the streets or whatever. But like my parents saw someone recognize me once, and like they'll still talk about it, and like my parents. I mean, I'll tell you, my mom loves Jake and Amir. She loves it. She thinks it's so funny, and she thinks Amir is so funny, which is true. Because if you meet Amir, he's just like, and if you meet Amir and Jake, they're very funny, and she just like thought they were so funny. And I got her a Jake and Amir shirt, and she would wear it, and she would get so thrilled when other people like knew what it was,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was like the kind of fun part, but I don't know. It was like, it was always like, I never thought I'd be recognized. I never had any illusions I was famous, and it was just like always kind of a fun novelty thing to be recognized.
Yeah. Did you guys ever go to any like con events or anything of the like in terms of like getting swarmed by people? Did that ever happen?
VidCon, any internet conventions?
No, VidCon I don't think existed at the time. I mean, we went to Comic-Con. Like, we shot a few videos there, I'd say. And we shot a few videos at a few different conventions. I would not say we were ever like swarmed anywhere. I mean, we did a monthly live show at UCB, and like it was definitely like this small bubble that we were very famous and like on that one half a block for like that one evening a month. So that was a fun novelty. I guess maybe that's where my parents saw it. And but like I don't think we ever like I don't think like that. I'm sure VidCon didn't exist when I was there, and I don't know.
Well, when did you depart from College Humor? Like, what year would it have been? 2010 or something?
It was right before the Breaking Bad finale. I started
so 2013.
Bush was elected, left at the Breaking Bad finale. That's how I remember time. These are the major events in my life.
Well, technically, the Breaking Bad finale, I believe, was fall of 2013.
So yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so yeah, because the first VidCon was 2010.
Oh, never mind.
So
I mean,
we didn't.
I mean, not
anyway. That's yeah. So it's fine.
It is just kind of funny, is like you guys were such a staple of internet culture, but were just outside of it enough because you were getting a paycheck, working out of an office, distributing onto a website. True. So it is kind of funny to think of that as like, oh, you were one of my favorite channels, but you were so outside like the YouTube community in the sense of like collaborating with other people. Like even people that you guys did collaborate with, like Broad City Britannic, they also kind of felt more like in that UCB area rather than YouTubers
I think that's
as
true.
well.
I think we thought of ourselves and saw ourselves more as comedians than YouTubers. I would say for sure. Yeah.
Or even more like traditional media than internet, perhaps.
It just happened to be on YouTube.
Yeah, I think YouTube is just a distribution outlet, and I mean the videos weren't on YouTube at first. It's just like eventually, I think they were. So yeah, like you're absolutely right. Like if you look at a lot of the people, I mean, I think the very first Bleep Bloop is I think back before it had a name was with Human Giant, and so that's Aziz and Paul Scheer and Rob Hubel, who are all like still very famous, well,
a lot of people that came out of there, like Ben Schwartz is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sure, yeah, Ben.
Thomas Middleditch, Silicon Valley. You have Kumail Nanjiani, who's gonna be a fucking superhero in a Marvel movie.
All bleep loop alumni.
Yeah.
That's what they all have
Yeah.
in common. Yeah, they're all bleep loop alumni.
And all of the main like cast from when we were watching it, they've all gone on to big writing jobs on, like, I think Dan is on what is it?
Last Week Tonight.
What's the guy's name? Last Week Tonight.
Yeah.
I was
A lot of
blanking on the guy's
SNL
name.
writers.
Yep.
Pat's on Samantha Bee, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great
So
because it's
it's
kept them all
headgum.
in New York,
Yeah.
and
You guys can hang
except
out.
I guess the LA
without
guy,
the
Jake
pandemic.
and me are in LA, and Murph and Emily are in LA, and so some people are in LA, but Caldwell, but you know, thank God for these New York jobs because Streeter is here, Pat is here, Sarah is here. Sarah, of course, has her own show, and they shoot in New York. Are they? Yeah, I think
Is
they
it
shoot
the
in New
other
York.
two? What is the show? Because she.
Yeah, the other two.
Yeah.
And which is very funny. Definitely check that out. And it's funny. Like I gotta watch one or two because it's Sarah, but like
Yeah.
I completely like I watched all of them because it's very funny.
Yeah.
And who else is still here? Yeah, Dan and Owen are here, and so like there's a lot of people still in New York, which is
Isn't Jake?
You must feel like
there
a
now
good sense
still?
of.
Jake is also in New York now. You're right. I just haven't seen him because it's the pandemic, but yeah, Jake is here.
I was gonna say you must feel like an immense sense of pride looking at all of your peers and yourself as well have like gone on to have such success.
Yeah, totally. It's I mean, it's always. I mean, it's a little weird to be honest for me to like revisit my glory days like this with you guys, but I am.
Yeah,
It's
of
fun
course.
too because I am quite proud of it. Like I am proud of most of the work we did, and the people. We worked with a lot of people. I mean, the people, both the everyday people and some of the guest star folks. Went on and like, we were on to something. So I am quite proud of it, and I don't know. Like, I hope people ask me about it for the rest of my life in some way. Like, it's probably something
I
I'll
think they
always be
will.
associated with. I hope so
Mhm.
anyway. And so yeah, it's great.
But Dr-
Well, we're one step further along that.
I wonder. There will be a last one of these one day for me, but I don't know. Like, I kind of can imagine, like, in 20 years, like, someone doing a retrospective on it. Maybe not. It's very possible no one will give a shit at that point. But it's
If you
not
want, like-
impossible for me to imagine. So,
we'll do this.
If
Uh,
you
once
want to
a
hit
year.
us up, or if you want, you can hit us
I
up
will
when you're
not
on your.
initiate it. I will not initiate it, and it's fine if no one does. Like, I'm not
I'm
relying
just saying-
on it, but it's not impossible to imagine. That's cool.
Okay, but just let us know when you're on your deathbed, and then we'll do the initiation, and
Okay,
you'll be
sounds
fine.
good.
Yeah.
So I would be remiss to talk about on this podcast about awesome things that you've done without talking about the Jeff Rubin show. And I think
great.
of people maybe that haven't listened to the Jeff Rubin show, who mostly know you from like College Humor and like Nerd Alert or Bleep Bloop would think, oh, is it like very much like comic book, video game based? But you have like such a wide fucking net where like the last one you did was like a competitive meat eater, was it? Or
No, it was a competitive meet. I'll tell you what it was. Yeah, I mean, so let me just explain how I got there. Is I interview people. It skews nerdy, and I think probably less so over time, just because I guess my own interests expand, and also like there's only so much. There's like when I was doing Bleep Loop, there was no one. There was probably a time where I was like one of the 10 most famous people who played video games on the internet. I'm not
Yeah,
even in the
totally.
top like million anymore, and
Yeah.
like there was a time when like nerdy content was like sort of novel. I think that time is long fucking past, and like to just discuss like the new Star Wars. I love Marvel movies. I go see every one, but to like
Oh,
do
I'm a shill
another
myself.
podcast discussing Marvel movies, it's not. It's just
No
like,
one
it's just not
cares
interesting
anymore. Yeah.
So I don't know. I try to interview people that are just unusual and interesting. And the one I did most recently was, I did a guy who he is the coach of the, not meat eating, meat judging team. This is a thing in, I think especially a lot of agricultural schools. They have teams that will competitively look at slabs of meat and try to judge them, like how much
Like looking at the
I don't even know what the
marbling?
words are, like how much marble there is on the steak, and like how much bone there
Is
is,
it
or
juicy?
whatever.
how little sinew, all the good stuff.
I honestly don't even really. I'm sure I asked him in the interview. I don't really remember like what the little technical blip flaps they're looking for are. And so I try to interview unusual people. I mean, the other one I did, I will sometimes try to think like, what is the Jeff Rubin angle on something? The other one I think that was probably the one right before that was Kishana Gray, who's this great author who's written about like intersectionality in games, and this was like kind of earlier this year, or about a year ago, I guess, like in the spring during the whole George Floyd protest. And I was just, there was like a thing that touched a lot of things, and it really like does bump up against nerd culture in this interesting way. And I wanted to get someone who could talk about that. So I definitely like still have my roots in nerd culture, I guess, but I do try to expand beyond that. The show has unfortunately become this thing where like I kind of check in every now and then. I'll do a month or two of episodes, like seasons, or I used to do it weekly and then bi-weekly or whatever. I kind of can't keep up with it anymore. But I'm never gonna let it go, and I'll always like be doing some, and I'm planning some right now, including definitely some dorky ones. But if I get a dorky one, like it's not gonna be. I mean, I think the third episode of the show is me and John Gabris talking about just Game of Thrones, just like Game of Thrones. What do you think of season 2? I will never do that again, just because. Not that I don't love Gabris. I love Gabris on to talk about anything. Gabris will make anything interesting, but it's just like, just talking about Game of Thrones, like, throw me out a fucking window. There's just so many people talking about Game of Thrones, and Marvel movies, and like all this shit now, So
that's the thing, right?
I guess so. If you ever do need someone just to wax poetic about like main continuum Spider-Man, Ultimate Universe Collide, I'll come on. I'll talk about
so
it all.
much. I appreciate that. There's just like there's so much that's just like
no,
not.
I know.
I just can't do that. Like there's like probably like 10 incredible Spider-Man podcasts. I'm not one of them. Like there's probably. 10,
well, that's the thing.
10 good Spider-Man. That's my guess. There's 10. Is that right?
Probably.
Like, there's just so many.
Maybe more.
There's probably a lot. Everyone loves Spider-Man.
In a market like this, like with podcasting, especially in the last couple of years, because I mean, when you first started doing it, podcasts weren't new, but they weren't like
it's
the
true.
big
I'm coming
thing.
up on it. I was just thinking I'm coming up on the 10-year anniversary of my podcast. So yeah, I definitely was a little earlier than.
So, but like, and back at that time, you could make a thing just talking about Game of Thrones, and it wouldn't have been.
At the time, I should have thought. I wish I had thought at the time I should be the guy with the Star Wars podcast or whatever. That would have been a good idea.
Yeah.
I should have gotten in on that.
You would have gotten in early.
I did this weird interview thing instead. So the interview thing, I mean, it's just hard to think of people, and like the meat judging thing is actually the only reason I'm aware of it is I rewatched all of King of the Hill, and the very last episode of King of the Hill actually centers on this. It's kind of like it's actually a nice last episode because it's like a competitive. Bobby gets into this, and it's like because it's eating, but it's also a competitive sports, and it's also meat. So Hank is very proud of like Bobby being into the sport. It's a nice last episode, and I was like, "Is this a real thing?" And I googled it, and I was like, "That's going on the list." So that's that's kind of where the podcast comes from.
Would you say that it's just sort of like something like that? Like you find out about something that you think is like super fucking interesting, and then you're like, "I want to learn about
Definitely.
that."
Definitely. The other thing is people will tell me that something should be on it. Like I'd say it's half stuff I just come across and half stuff people tell me about. Unfortunately, I can't like force either of those events, like other than just like doing the show and talking about it. Like I can't make people tell me about stuff. It's hard to I've done 200 some odd episodes now. It's like hard to find new stuff like meat judging. So I am always on the lookout for it. It is hard to generate new guests, and like I pride myself on not repeating myself. And even though there's ones I did like a lot like chess boxing. Like I had a chess boxer on Nerd Alert, the show I did at College Humor. It must have been 8 or 9 years ago. But even still, I don't want to do a chess boxing episode of my podcast, even though I probably should. I think it's really interesting. It's like a perfect thing for me. It's, it's very, it's nerdy, but it also has this, this unusual element of it. And Nerd Alert was just like probably a 5-minute segment or even less. I would love to do like an hour talking to a chess boxer, but just because I did it 10 years ago and something I'm sure no one remembers, I don't want to do it. So it's hard to come up with new ones.
And this is just as a fan, I'm asking, do you think you would ever independently bring Nerd Alert back or no? That's a time in your past that you're just like, no.
Probably not. I'm surprised to hear myself say that. I wish there was definitely a time where I wanted to. I think at the time it was a relatively novel idea to have a show that recapped the week in nerd news and have some nerd punditry. It is the opposite of novel now. It's just like, I don't think there should be any more of those. So I would not do Nerd Alert again.
I guess so. It's still super fun going back and looking. Like even just watching one that I watched last night where you went to this store in New York that was like almost like a video game museum.
Yeah, that place is amazing. Yeah. I double dipped there. I actually made a video with them for BuzzFeed too because that place is so incredible. But so I wouldn't do Nerd Alert. I would do Bleep Loop again in some form if Pat would also do it. I wouldn't do it without Pat. And we've it's come up over the years, like we've talked about it. Like Bleep Loop is the thing I would go back to because that's like a Let's Play thing that's based on us hanging out and having fun, and like that still exists. Pat's still one of my very best friends. I see him all the time. We still like watch movies and like have that kind of dialogue.
And that's nice to hear because I thought Mike Trapp killed Pat.
Right. Yeah.
So...
Well, he's the ghost of Pat I'm hanging out with.
Okay. Yeah,
but he is, so that is something I probably won't do. We did. I mean, this is like 7 or 8 years ago. We did do a Bleep Loop reunion with John Gabris and Dan Klein back when we all still lived in LA, and so like we did do a Bleep Loop reunion once, and I would do that again hypothetically. I'm not saying this is going to happen. It probably won't. But that is more interesting to me than doing Nerd Alert again, which again I think like at the time was hopefully a little novel, but it's just like is just the opposite now. So I wouldn't do that anymore.
Well, I mean, I think you're totally right when you said at the time you were in the top 10. Honestly, for me, there was like I watched Angry Video Game Nerd, I watched you, and I watched Zero Punctuation. Were like my weekly video game content guys.
Is Zero Punctuation go back that far?
He's
I've
old,
been watching
yeah.
it for a long time, I guess, too, yeah.
Yeah, he's old. I don't know if he's like maybe 2007, something like that.
Cool.
He's still going, I think.
I believe that's correct, yeah. I'm sure it's correct. So, yeah, yeah, I don't know. But that stuff is just, I don't know. I was very, again, like, lucky. I was just lucky to be at a time when this was not as well-worn, yeah.
It just wasn't as saturated. Yeah,
I know we talked about how derivative these podcasts focusing on one topic are, so I'm only going to take 90 seconds to ask you this. And if you want, tell me to shut the fuck up.
Okay.
What did you think of the last Star Wars film?
Oh, so bad. I
know.
Did see it with Pat, Dan, and Owen, I want to say. We all saw it together, and it's terrible. Like, it's not even that interesting to discuss to me. It's just bad. It actually, like, I forget... I don't know if Pat said this or I read it on Twitter, but someone said it and it really resonated with me that it like freed them of giving a shit about Star Wars. Like I'll still see more Star Wars movies, but like
I'm not no
longer precious. Like I'm not like, oh no, there's a bad Star Wars movie. My God, blah blah blah. Like, there's just gonna be bad Star Wars movies, and that's just like life now, and that's fine.
They finally axed it
because a slight link to that, you had Red Letter Media on.
Yeah, that's right. I did have Red Letter Media on
to talk about the prequels.
They were very new, and I was thinking about that because I think at the time I was like, "You're never going to believe this." They talk about Star Wars for longer than the runtime of the movie. Can you believe it? Someone talking about Star Wars for 2 hours. I mean, there's just so much in that now.
And now the Plinkett reviews have gone fucking blown up, and Red Letter Media is huge. You got there early.
They basically created the format of that video essay.
I think that's right. I think there were definitely Cinema Sins and I don't know what are some of those other ones. Like those like online movie YouTube channels. I think huge that
YMS who we just had on the podcast earlier this week, who's blown up too. Your movie sucked. Like he's very inspired by Red Letter Media.
Yeah, it was a really big thing. It was like it was just like the idea that you could talk about Star Wars for 2 hours. I mean, it's also like the ultimate example of this is if you look at Clerks. Like Clerks is a movie I'm from New Jersey, so I grew up like idolizing Kevin Smith, loving Clerks. I was like 14 or 15. I was like, this is the funniest. I loved Mallrats. Thought this was the funniest movies. And like Clerks, it doesn't date super well. I think I haven't revisited in a long time, but like at the time, the characters like talk about Star Wars, and like I mean, it's the dumbest Star Wars joke, just like there were contractors on Death Star, or whatever. At the time, like this is hard to imagine now, but at the time, having a discussion about Star Wars in your movie was like kind of novel. Just like joking about Star Wars was like novel, and like you can't like I don't know, it doesn't exist anymore. And
well, I think even you've probably played a hand in this, but like I think with the like democratization of the internet and most people looking at the internet more than television, like the whole idea of nerd culture has grown so much that I think I was probably one of the last generations to get bullied for liking like Spider-Man and Star Wars and comic books and video games.
That's probably true. I was never really bullied, I would say. I was not like popular, but I don't think I was really like
lucky you, sir.
I know.
I had a very unfun nickname, which was the skinny Jewish F word. I'm not going to say it now.
Oh boy,
it's not
yeah, no,
say that anymore.
I'm very sorry to hear that. That is, I definitely didn't have anything like that.
I got pennies thrown at me, and I was like a very what I thought liberal
what's
area
with that?
because it's like Jews are cheap.
No, I know, but that happened. So my girlfriend's Jewish as well, and that also happened to her.
It's a thing. It's
a horrible
thing, unfortunately, I guess. I luckily did not. I'm fortunate that I never experienced anything like that. I guess the other thing that I missed is like toxic nerd culture. Like I think it'd be really hard to do a show like nerd culture. Is a lot of toxicity has kind of
with like
out of that.
Maybe even stuff of I don't want to. Don't quote me on this, but like some of the incel movement stuff, or like just thinking, "Oh, girls don't like me, so I deserve less."
Yeah, there's a connection to like gaming culture there. I think about my life, and I think I'm like 3 wrong turns away from becoming a terrible incel. Like I look back, and I was like not popular. I loved video games. Like on paper, it could have been me, and like I don't know. I just made the right friends, or my parents gave me the right kind of encouragement. Like I feel like I'm 3 wrong turns away from becoming like a terrible 4chan incel.
Oh, and I don't want to say, oh yeah, but I just know even me, like people that I was like good friends with high school now that I don't have any contact with anymore have kind of become that like 4chan thread incel-y kind of conspiracy theorist.
I don't know. I was fortunate to. I just want to say I was fortunate to do like nerd culture stuff in a time when that wasn't part of. I mean, I guess it was part of nerd culture, but maybe we should have like recognized it more. But it was not a prominent part that you really had to reckon with. I guess.
And I guess
we should have more.
We're kind of getting to that time, but I have a question that sort of like a wrap up encompassing question about this.
Oh wait, Thomas, before you ask that, can I ask just one more quick 10-second question before you do the wrap up? And then I'll shut up forever.
It's not the question that you think it is.
Oh no, that's not what it is. I was just gonna say, quick 10-second thoughts. WandaVision. Do you feel like Disney Plus? I thought it was fantastic.
Every single Marvel thing is a 9 out of 10 for me. Every single one. Like maybe Captain
Even
Marvel's
Thor?
like an 8, maybe Winter Soldier's like a 10, but like
what about Thor? The first Thor.
Love it. 9 out of 10. Thor 2,
Christ.
maybe like 7 out of 10. I basically love every stupid Marvel thing.
I am in the same boat, except for Thor. But I would say, as someone who's been reading Spider-Man comics since I could read, Far From Home, all the sequences with Mysterio gave me that like pit in my stomach that I felt from like the 90s Spider-Man cartoon.
I love it. I love it. I'm so
Tom Holland is the fucking acest Spider-Man we've ever gotten. Sit down, McGuire.
I'm a terrible person to ask for Marvel movie opinions because I love all of them. Like I have lost objectivity. I'm just like, they're all great. I don't know what you guys are talking about. They're all excellent films. So like, and I thought WandaVision was really excellent.
Loved it.
And I loved the first.
They did something different.
Episode. I was like, this.
Yeah.
WandaVision really was impressive. The audaciousness of it really was, I think, something I didn't expect, and that impressed me. Yeah, WandaVision was, I would say, actually particularly good just for how ambitious it was.
Absolutely. My only gripe,
I felt that way about,
they misused Evan Peters. Whatever. I think they did Evan Peters dirty.
Oh, yeah, that was a little weird, but whatever. I don't know.
It's not the biggest deal. That's just my only
You
gripe.
guys are turning this into some nerd show. I'm so upset.
Yeah.
He's the quintessential Quicksilver. Anyway, go on, Thomas.
I guess my point was that as someone who's, like, clearly, as you've said, been on the internet since, I guess, the beginning, do you, like, how did it feel to see this, like, it felt like a series of different, like, isolated islands before, and now we've built bridges to all of them, and now those bridges are, like, super highways, and everything is connected, and it's, like, one island, and having that, like become the mainstream. It went from, like, almost not like a counterculture, but, into the mainstream. Did you feel that change as it was happening? Or, like, I don't know. It's just interesting to ask someone who was, like, creating for the site, like, the internet.
Yeah, no, I recognize what you're saying. I don't think you can see that thing day to day. Only, like, in retrospect can you, like, kind of recognize that kind of shift. For me, anyway. No, I don't think I, like, saw that. I mean, at some point it became clear that, like, video was going to be a thing, but even that's, like, not as clear to me anymore. I don't know. Like, I guess it's always changing, and, like, what you're describing, like, I don't know. It's always changing, and like it's just always changing, and I don't know, like whatever it is today is like not what it'll be in a year or two, and like I guess that's maybe the main thing I learned is like to never get too comfortable with what it is. It's like really always evolving, and I don't know what it'll evolve to, but like the one thing you can count on is that it's evolving. Yeah,
that's true, and yeah, I guess for me as well, one thing I've noticed is how it seems to me that it's getting faster. Things used to have like a longer half-life on the internet.
That's probably true. I don't have any data on that, but that sounds correct. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's harder. I don't know. That might be right.
Yeah. Okay. I
Guys,
just find it's like
before we end, can I plug something?
Oh,
of course.
We still have a little bit before you plug, like
Oh.
another 5 seconds. Don't
Okay,
worry.
keep going.
Another question that we like to ask all of our guests. We can cut this out if you want. Have you ever completed a hands-free ejac?
No, I don't think so. Am I understanding the question correctly? Does it mean what I think?
Using your mind or Kegels, you have brought yourself to completion.
Yeah, that's a very strange question. That is not at all like the questions you've been asking for the previous hour. I'll stick with no.
Okay, fair enough. It's just something we like to ask, just to make sure.
The hunt continues.
No one's achieved it yet, except I. So we're gonna keep trying.
We're looking for a friend for Josh.
Oh,
No one is ever related with me, so it's just it'd be nice. Make me feel like less of a freak. But yeah, I really want to say thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate that. You are definitely someone who has really
no problem.
shaped my
I was
humor.
a nightmare to schedule, so
It is all good, my guy. If people want to find anything of you or see anything that you're doing, where can they see that?
I don't
What's
even have
the
a good answer to
plug?
that anymore. I don't have a good answer to that. I mean, there's the podcast, the Jeff Rubin Show. You can find that. The other thing I wanted to plug is a game. I made a game, which was like a new thing for me. Yeah, I made a game called liesgame.com, and it's a kind of a multiplayer game that you play with your friends. Sort of like Jackbox stuff, if you're familiar with that, except you don't need like a central TV. And you kind of it's a game where you have to I guess hopefully it like feels like a board game, even though it's like a phone game, and you get to make up lies and try to fool your friends, and so it's kind of in that Jackbox kind of world of games that feel like board games, even though they're digital.
Is it live now?
It is liesgame.com, and I basically made a board game, and then it was like impossible to print because it was too many cards and blah blah blah, and then like I made a digital version, and hopefully it still feels like a board game. So it's lies. You and some friends. Everyone, it's not an app. You don't need to download any funky apps. It's just a website. Go to the website liesgame.com. Get a few of your friends to do it at the same time. You can just use your phone, iPad, whatever, and you hopefully from there it'll be pretty self-explanatory. Liesgame.com. Fun.
Well, that actually gives me a question if I could ask you from the creator himself. This Monday, Thomas, myself, and a couple other people are having a backyard Passover dinner on Monday, and we're also doing it distance with other people. Would we be able to play your game and document it, vlog it, and put it on our channel?
Definitely, you definitely can. And I will tell you that we made a stupid mode. It's called scoreboard mode. Yeah, basically the way the game works is that everyone is just using their phone and there's no central screen, but there is a way to create a central screen if you want to like play it on Twitch or whatever. I actually did that with the Headgum crew. If you search the Headgum YouTube channel for Lies Game or for me or something, you will find this. Yeah. And so yeah, you can totally play it online at your virtual event. You can play it in person. You can play it over Zoom. It's a fun game I made. So check it out.
I think we will do that over some brisket. Jeff, again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No problem. This was really fun to revisit the glory days. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. If you guys want to find us, you can find us at youtube.com/friendstyles, Anchor FM/friendstyles. We are When We Are There show on When We Are There show on both Instagram and TikTok. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/friendstyles. Anything to add, Thomas?
We also have a Twitter that we don't use. It's also When We Were There show. Friendstyles.ca will be coming up at some point, maybe
soon. Pornhub.com/friendstyles, because apparently that's great to advertise non-sexual content on Pornhub.
Yeah, we're going to be doing if you know about our Wholesome Only fans, you'll know that the Wholesome Only boys are a couple loving chaps, and they're coming to Pornhub.
But don't expect to see any skin. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, thank you so much, Jeff. We'll see you guys next week.